Hey listeners, I wanted to share a brief update. Since this series was released, a number of people have reached out privately to share memories, information, photographs, newspaper cuttings, and documents connected to Denise McGregor and to Pascoe Vale, Broadmeadows and Wallen as they were in the late 1970s. Some of that material no longer exists anywhere else. Some of those memories haven't been spoken about in decades. To everyone who has taken the time to reach out, thank you. I know how personal that can be, and I don't take it lightly. I also want to explain the care being taken as this series continues. At this stage, the question can't be, who did this? That question only becomes meaningful once we understand which explanations are more plausible than others based on what we actually know. In long-running cases, one of the greatest risks is theory bias. Narrowing attention too early doesn't just focus inquiry, it acts like a filter. It quietly bleaches out details that don't fit a particular story until only what supports that story remains visible. Once that happens, people begin to second-guess themselves. Memories that don't fit the dominant narrative are dismissed, left unspoken, or reshaped to match what's already been heard. Over time, that narrowing becomes very hard to undo. We know from other Victorian cases that even small inaccuracies repeated often enough can lead witnesses to doubt their own memories and stay silent. They assume what they remember must be wrong because it doesn't match what they've already heard. Once a bell is rung, it can't be unrung. That is why this series avoids public accusations or naming individuals beyond what is firmly established on the public record. It is also why I ask people to share memories privately and in writing, rather than debating them publicly, not to control the conversation, but to avoid steering it. I want to be clear, I am incredibly grateful to everyone who has reached out. And in another context, I would welcome sitting down and talking these memories through. But here, keeping things in writing helps preserve what is remembered without reshaping it. That restraint isn't distance. It is guided by a desire to minimise harm, to Denise's memory, to her family, and to the integrity of the case. The family has waited decades for answers, and the last thing they need is another false lead or a public debate that generates attention without producing anything that can stand up to scrutiny. They deserve a process that holds, not just emotionally, but legally, if anything ever moves forward. There's one more point I want to explain because it often comes up in true crime coverage. I want to explain why I haven't involved retired detectives who previously worked on Denise's case. If the investigation moves forward, they may need to give evidence, and public commentary now could complicate that later. The same principle applies to forensic specialists Victoria Police might need for independent analysis. Preserving their availability for law enforcement matters more than having recognisable voices now. Moving forward, the series asks a careful question. What kinds of explanations could fit what we know, and which simply don't? To everyone that has contributed so far, thank you again. Talking things through can help memories surface. What matters is that any specific recollections or details are then shared carefully and through the appropriate channels. If you feel comfortable, please share this series with family or friends who lived in Pascoe Vale, Broadmeadows, Wallen, or the surrounding suburbs in the late 1970s. Sometimes memories don't surface until the right detail is heard aloud. And to anyone listening quietly, holding memories you're unsure about, there is still time to share them with authorities. This case has waited decades. Handling it carefully matters, but so does making sure information isn't lost.